Hey y'all, so I haven't dropped any life advice videos for a little bit, and I was sitting here about to clean up my room. I'm getting my daughter's stuff ready for school, and so I said, let me drop a quick little video. So, anyway, here I am. So, the first piece is I had wrote them down so I didn't forget. Not everyone moves at your pace, and that's okay, right? We all are in this life thing, right? And you may be in your lane with something particular, and you have a person that you're dealing with, whether it's a spouse, a sibling, coworker, whatever, child, and your expectation is setting you off. You're getting upset, you're getting frustrated with them because they're not catching it how you feel they should catch it. They're not moving along as you feel they should move along. Example, you got a kid, they have graduated high school and they are in college, but maybe they're not doing what they need to do. Or maybe, they're trying to get a job and you're like, back when I was your age, I had 2 and 3 jobs. Well, one, the economy was different. Two, that was you, this is them, right? We often push people based on what we think we would do given the opportunity or given their circumstance, but we don't know. And a lot of times, right, we talk about what we would have done from a place of maturity and wisdom now that we have grown through something, because when we did get the opportunity, we ain't do that. So anyway, number two, your breakthrough isn't someone else's deadline. I think it's wonderful that you get it now, right? And you've had this revelation. But that don't mean that now everybody else got to have that same revelation because you finally got it, right? Now you're getting mad at people because they 10 and not 12. Your breakthrough is not their deadline, right? Some of the smartest people you know may take a real long time to get a lesson that came to you very easy. And so you have to show patience and kindness with people, and understanding that their development is going to go at what? Their own pace. Okay? The third one I wrote down is you can love someone and still step back to let them grow. Right? You see a theme here? It's called stepping back, taking your hands off, taking your opinions off, removing the judgment, and allowing other people to grow at the pace that they need to grow at. Because what evokes us and what catapults us into change are different things, right? What caused you to morph and to develop and transform into who you are today, the pressure, the amount of pressure you needed, the circumstances you needed are not the same as someone else. And what they need versus what you need are two different things. We have to remember we are all on our own journey, even with our children. And that's a really hard thing, because if you're like me, I have a small child and I also have an adult child. And it's very easy for me to want to tell my adult child all the things that he should be doing. You should be doing this. You should be doing that. And knowing, because I've equipped you, I've done this, I made sure you had that, I made sure, but I am not growing up in the environment he's growing up in. It was totally different when I was growing up, right? And we have to account for that. And it's really no way for you to understand what it's like to be a 23-year-old in the year of 2025, unless you are a 23-year-old in the year of 2025. And even then, there's going to be variations. So again, you can love somebody, but you can still step back and let them grow. Let them learn from the challenges that they face. That's how they learn that they too are an overcomer, and not just because you said they are, but because they have experience with it. That's how they develop their relationship with God, right? Because they know God is real, because they've been able to see God move in their life, not because they've just heard your testimony about how God has moved in your life. Number 4, comparison kills connection. Stay in your lane. This one is important because a lot of times we could be comparing and not even know that we're comparing. I'm going to give you an example. My son was going through something and I was telling him like, hey, when I was in this situation, like, I understand what you're going through. And when I was in this situation, I had you and I didn't have, such and such type of help, and I still had to figure it out and yada, yada, yada. And I mean, I know if I can I went to talk to these people and I did this. And if I could do it, you could do it. I am thinking I'm encouraging, but I was comparing. Because in that time, I'm saying, well, I was in a tougher situation. I didn't say it in that way, but it's still the same thing. Instead of me just saying, hey, I see the situation you're in, it's really tough for you. And letting him talk about the challenges he's facing and then asking him, what do you plan to do about it? Do you not have a plan? Okay, maybe you want to start there. Think about what it is you could do about it instead of giving the answers, but also instead of telling them stories about how when I was in a difficult situation, right? Sometimes we do that because we want a person to know that we can relate to them, that we understand. But I think it's more powerful to just listen and support the person. And instead of having to share what you went through, you could say, these are some things that you might be able to do to help, right? So comparison kills connection. You can connect without having to compare your own story. And a lot of times we do comparison without even understanding that that's what we're doing. Last one. Your peace comes from a release, not control. Again, I'm speaking of this from a space of parenting, but this crosses the spectrum. Relationships, husbands, wives, children, co-workers, jobs, whatever it is. Your peace lies in the fact that you can release the need to control environments, people, the way that outcomes, those things. Because you're going to lose it if you don't learn to manage and control you and only you. Right? That's all you have control over. You don't have control over things that occur external to yourself. And that includes your kids. Right? That includes your spouse. That includes the promises that your spouse may have made. That includes the promises that your kids may have made. You don't control things external to yourself. So sit in the peace of knowing that, you know what? Let me operate in the things that I can control and be accepting of the things that I cannot. And what I mean by being accepting isn't that you're being okay with it. It's just understanding that you don't have control over it. Right? Stop trying to influence everything and control it through persuasion or manipulation. Be okay with saying, you know what? Let me back up from that. So anyway, those were 5 little pieces of life advice that I wanted to share. A sixth and a bonus one is a lot of times we parent from a place of our own trauma. We show up as the parent we needed and not necessarily as the parent our child needs or the young adult that we now have needs. Right? We do that in relationships too. Right? With your spouse or your significant other, a lot of times we will show up how we would need someone to show up in that situation and not how they need someone to show up in that situation. So make sure that you're listening and that you're connecting with the people that are in your life. Really connecting. Are you showing up in a way that that person needs you to show up? Are you capable of showing up how they need you to show up? Or are you only capable of showing up the way you would want someone to show up for you if you were in their shoes? But you can't be because you're you and they're them, so you don't even know what that really would be. Right? Something to think about. Y'all have a good day.